What's up, everybody? Oh, spoiler. I didn't mean to have that on the screen right away. Was trying to make sure I wasn't keeping you waiting too long, especially after last night. First, you guys waited like 15 minutes in the room for me, and then I didn't even show up. I'm very sorry about that, by the way. I had dinner, like I said, and then I passed out. But when I woke up, I felt so guilty. I'm like, you know what? I got to make sure that I at least have a good video that I know that everybody's going to enjoy when they wake up so that they know I was thinking about them when I woke up. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. Well, I know some of you guys did. Guys, let me know. Did you see that video that I put out this morning with Tim Dillon and my little Charlie and Erica mashup? And then we had a little Bongino coverage? Put a 1 in the chat and let me know. Actually, let's see who's here. What do we got so far? We got Elena, Keli, Jeannie, Tawny, Holly. Who else we got? Give it a little time. Let everybody get in here. Scotty. Well, yo, don't mind me. I just took a nap. I want tonight to be a good show. If you are on the members only, I gave everybody a hint. I told everybody that there would be a roast tonight. I didn't say who. I gave another hint this morning. If you didn't know where we were going with this, by now, I think we all know who's in my sights tonight, and with very, very good reason. Let me adjust my mic. Sorry, I'm still getting everything situated. You ready for my story and for the, what is that symbol? Yeah, no, I'm ready for a long night. There is a lot that I want to discuss. It's not going to just be a roast. You know, we're all going through a lot right now. This has been such a freaking year, hasn't it? I mean, if you have kids, you know, the year starts at different points for people. Obviously, January is supposed to be the new year. But to some degree, when you're in school or when you're a parent, sometimes the year kind of feels like it starts in September, right? The end of the summer, the beginning of fall, like that. It's kind of like a reset. And I mean, it's always been like that for me anyway, even when I wasn't in school. And, starting with Charlie leaving the board, and the investigation and just everything. Then it went into the holidays, and then we had all the stuff going on with ICE and the craziness, and then the files, and now we're at war. It's like, what the hell is going on? And there hasn't really been many, nothing's really been resolved. Nothing's been resolved. Here we are 6-7 months later, still trying to figure out what happened to Charlie. Still waiting for the rest of these files to come out. We're getting lied to about everything, every step of the way in the media. And now we're at war, and we don't know how it's going to go. And I feel like there is a great awakening right now that a lot of people are trying to find God. A lot of people are trying to find Jesus. There are a lot of people that are going back to their Christian faith, and some of which in a way that they never have before. And there are a lot of people that are finding it for the first time. I don't even know what category that I fall in, because growing up, I was a Christian. I grew up Catholic. I pretty much lost my faith when I was like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. And it stayed that way for a very long time. I was always very spiritual to some extent, but I mean, I looked at I don't want to say I looked at Jesus like Santa Claus because I didn't like have like doubts about him being real and or ever existing, but it was just the theology. I had always believed that the theology took over in a big way and that everything that they were teaching us was bullshit and that it was just all about obedience and control. And I still feel that way to some degree when it comes to the theology. Although now, after all the research that I've done in history, I realize that there is a lot more legitimacy to things than I ever thought, including the scripture. Although I don't know how much of the scripture that I trust. I feel like as you go over the course of time and you see all the rewrites and different interpretations, and I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole in and of itself, which we'll get into another day. But I think it's very clear that the people in power have always used every means, any and all means at their disposal to keep us under their control, to keep us under their thumb, to keep us on that mouse wheel, keep us in the matrix, in that little bubble of bullshit that I always talk about. I don't think that that's ever been more clear than it is today. And I'm really struggling. I'm not struggling with my faith, but I'm struggling in finding the balance between the Christian that people are telling me that I'm supposed to be and the type of Christian I feel that I'm supposed to be. Those are two different things. And I try, I'm trying to tame it with the foul language, especially. I know that people get sensitive to it, and I'm trying to find a balance with, exposing the darkness and being the light and doing both at the same time. Ephesians 5:11, do not partake in the darkness, expose it. There's different interpretations. I always thought that that was just me doing what I've been doing, and that's just calling people out. And then I had a conversation with one of my pastors. I'm not going to drop names of the pastors, but you know who you are. Shout out to you. And he gave me a different interpretation where he said that, it could also mean just being the light and not necessarily putting the spotlight on the darkness, but by being a good Christian, by being a good person, by standing out in that way, that the darkness will expose itself. And I think that that's a really good interpretation. That's a really slick interpretation. But I kind of like my way better. And not that I like my way better, but I feel like there needs to be people that call these people out. We cannot be manipulated into just being good and obedient and not calling them out. I'm sorry. And I'm trying so hard. I'm trying with the language. I'm trying to be more positive. I'm trying not to go too deep down these rabbit holes. But I just know too much. I know too much. I've seen too much. And I know what's happened to children. And I know that if people aren't speaking up, that if we're not calling it out, if we're not demanding accountability, if we're not doing something to stop it, then it's not going to stop. That everything we saw on those files that are happening to kids, everything that's happened in these orphanages, everything that we've heard about Romania and other places, it is still going on. There is no reason to believe it's not. I mean, just look at J.E. They were telling us the whole time that he offed himself, right? Right? We'll play the clip later, with Bongino and Cash Patel. You know, they've seen the file. Everything according to the files is they know what it looks like. But then when the real files come out and we see the autopsy and we compare it with what's in the other files that gets released in the emails, we find out that there's not only hard evidence that he didn't off himself, but there is real evidence that they snuck him out, that he's out there right now. He's out there right now, a free man doing God knows what to God knows who, pulling who knows what kind of strings. For all we know, in all honesty, all jokes aside, for all we know right now, it was J.E. that called Trump himself to get us into this war. And we have no reason to believe otherwise. I'm not saying that we have a reason to believe that necessarily, but it's not even about this administration. It's our government. They have no credibility. They've lied about everything, every major scandal, every event, every ignition event. If, you've been following my content and you know the lingo. Like, there have been conspiracy theorists for years that have been talking about like some sort of great reset where it's like checkmate for the deep state to get us under control, like once and for all, in a way that we might not be able to get out. In Revelations, they talk about this. It's biblical. The mark of the beast. Not being able to buy and sell goods, not being able to get food. They talk about the king's merchant. The person who helps usher in the Antichrist, that has control of the land, control of the medicine, control of the money, control of the food. Who does that remind you of? All these questions that we have about different chemicals and things that they're putting in our food. And RFK with all his promises on how he, him and Trump, they were going to make America healthy again. But they didn't even ban the glyphosate. Like, yeah, you got Red 40 or whatever out. You got some of the dyes. Bravo. But the mRNA is still getting sprayed in our food. The Roundup is still getting used. They're still putting in the fake meat. We don't even know what we're eating. Like, you go to the grocery store right now and you get a thing of chopped meat and you really have no idea. You don't know if it's cloned. You don't know if it's GMOs. You don't even know if it's human. Like, think about that. And there are so many people out there that just have this attitude. Like, oh, what are you going to do? What's the point of looking into it? And like, even at my church, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I love the people at my church and everything. Like, I bump heads with certain people. But like, everybody's got their head in the sand. It's like, oh, just read the Bible, just pray. Like, certain things are just out of our control. And that is crazy to me. Like, could you imagine if Jesus was going around saying that to people? Like, yeah, this is happening. Like they're slaving, they're crucifying these people, they're persecuting them, but just ignore it. Forget about the kids over there that are getting abused. Forget about them, what's happening to them over there. Forget about what's happening to these women. Forget about that village over there getting burned down. Like, just forget it. It's going to be okay. I'm sorry. I will not accept that. I will not believe that. And I know in my heart, because I feel the Holy Spirit inside of me, that is bullshit. That is bullshit. That is the same mentality that pushed me towards George Carlin when I was a kid. And I just think about things now, and I'm just, like I said, I'm trying. And I am not a perfect individual, as you guys probably know by now. I've come a very long way in my day, but I've been through my fair share of shit. I've been around people that have been through their fair share of shit. I come from a family where there was a lot of addiction. My parents had a very brutal divorce. I was the oldest of 4. Later on, ended up becoming the oldest of 5. And, I when I was young, I put a lot on my shoulders. Like there was like I always felt like it was my responsibility to like even back then to call everything out, to like be the one to, tell my parents like, "Hey, like maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should try that." And then, you know, like no parent wants to hear that from a fucking 11-year-old. You know what I mean? And then when the 11-year-old ends up being right and turns to a 12, 13, 14-year-old, and all of a sudden he starts hitting you with all the I told you so's, you're going to have a lot of friction. And I went through it with everybody. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, you know? And I always had the best advice for everybody else except myself. I never took my own advice. In fact, I would try to give advice to people, and when they wouldn't take it and they would fuck up, I would use it as an excuse for me to fuck up. And it became a very, very vicious cycle. And, I woke up one day and I had my first kid, and my relationship was not going good. And I was just like, you know what? Like my life is not going the way that I thought it was going to go. And I quit my job, and I decided I was going to take a break and do a hard reset. And then my little brother dropped dead of an asthma attack, like right after I got into a really big fight with him. And it just really put a crack in the foundation. It really put a crack in the foundation. And, the first couple months I tried to be like a rock and tried to like be there for my family. And then all of a sudden I just started resenting everybody and everything about this world, especially God. And I ended up over the course of the next, I don't know, 7 years, made a lot of really, really bad decisions. A lot of really bad decisions, especially after my car accident. And I basically, I basically broke my back. I had really bad stenosis. I probably could have, in all honesty, I probably could have gotten better had I just done things right and done physical therapy and rested and, did what I was supposed to do. But instead, I ended up getting a prescription for Oxy, and I used it as a crutch. I felt invincible. Like the pain went away. I was able to do what I needed to do. And then it started feeling, better than the pain going away. And it went from using it as a crutch and using it to get by to straight up abuse. And I ended up making my injury so much worse, to the point where I was walking with a cane because I had drop foot, and I would just like literally fall down. And then I was a mess, and I had to get my back fused. And, getting your back fused in your early 30s, and this is during COVID, by the way. So like that isolation and everything going on, and I'm not even mentioning like all the relatives and friends that I had die. Like I had a grandparent, 2 aunts, and 2 very, very good friends all die within like the course of a year while I'm going through this stuff with my back, while my relationship's failing, while I'm not talking to my family after a fallout with my brother dying. And I just completely snapped, and I turned into a real piece of shit. And I drank a lot. I did a lot of pills. I gambled away everything that I had. I was a complete whore. And, that was me for a little bit, and I overdosed the first time, and I did not even blink. It did not change anything. There was no like, oh my God, I'm going to change. Like, I'm so lucky to be alive. It was like literally a couple hours later, it was business as usual. And, then I hit the point where like I was like really rock bottom. Really rock bottom. I even had 2 girls. I knocked up 2 girls in 1 year, and they both got abortions because I was such a piece of shit that they both, I guess, just felt that the world was better off. And at that point in time, maybe it was. I would really not like to agree with that sentiment, but, it is what it is. Now I have a wonderful girl. I ended up changing my ways. I repented. I didn't have this like find God, born again Christian moment where I got clean. I just hit rock bottom. I woke up one day and I was just like, yo, like, this is not who I want to be. Like, this is not who I want to be. And I quit everything cold turkey. I really did. Like, the pills, the drinking, the women, the gambling. I just woke up one day and I just said I was done. And then a couple months later, my oldest came to spend a couple weeks with me in the summer, and she never left. And it was just like, one of those motivating factors where it's like, okay, like, I have my kid back. Like, I'm on the right track. I'm clean. I cannot lose this. And I just built on it, you know? And then eventually I met, my fiance, who I'm with now. We ended up having another kid, and she already has kids. We got big, happy family, started going to church. I still wasn't really, you know. But then the ironic part is I was ready to start a business. I had all these things going on that I was going to do. And I was a big Trump believer, big Trump believer. I really believed that he was the outsider that was going to change the system, that he was going to drain the swamp, that he was going to keep the peace, save the economy, deal with the immigrants, put America first. Like, I fucking hook, line, and sinker bought into that shit. I wasn't following all this. Like, did you hear the story I just told you about my life? I was a complete fucking degenerate. I didn't know what was really going on, you know? And then I'm watching the news one day, and I believe it was Stephen Nelson. Is that who it was? New York Times, Wall Street Journal, one of the two. He's there. There's like some kind of like board meeting, or whatever, press meeting at the White House, and somebody asked Trump about, or they asked Pam Bondi about JE, and Trump said, "You're still talking about Einstein?" And I don't know. I swear to God, I took it like a personal betrayal. I took it like a personal betrayal. And from that moment on, I started going down the rabbit holes, and I spent months, 18 hours a day, complete catch-up crash course from going all the way back in history. And it is true when they say that you go deep enough down the rabbit holes, you find Jesus. I mean, they say something else about dropping the T with those rabbit holes, which there's a lot of truth to that too. But you dig deep enough and you will find Jesus. But anyway, I know the moral of this story is that we all sin. If there's one thing that the Bible gets right, is that we are all sinners. And I know what feels real to me. And Jesus definitely feels real to me. Like I mean it when I say that I have the Holy Spirit inside of me, because, like I said, I didn't get clean and get my life together because I was a born again Christian that found God. I did it first. And then when my head was clear, then I found God. And I think that's the difference. I think that there are a lot of people that try to find God because they need something when they're like coming back from rock bottom, and they latch onto it, and it kind of like keeps them going. And like, that's understandable, of course. But when you do it first, with your own drive, with your own motivation, your own willpower, and you get your head clear, and then you find God, it just clicks differently. It just clicks differently. And, I've done a lot of messed up stuff. And I don't know if I'm ever really going to repent. You read the New Testament, it says accepting Jesus is the way to heaven. And if that's the case, wonderful. I would love to go to heaven. But, my own internal redemption from my sins, I still feel like I'm catching up. And that's why I say, like, even when we talk about, like Benny AI, we'll call him. You gotta like work on better code names here. But I say, like, don't hate, don't celebrate anybody, anything bad happen to anybody. That the best thing that you could hope for with somebody, no matter how evil that they are, is for them to find Jesus and let them try to repent and use their powers for good. And the reason that I say that is because there was a time not that long ago where the world was better off without me in the form that I was back then. And once I really, tried to repent, because repenting isn't just changing your actions, it's changing the way you think. And once I did that, like the chip that I have on my shoulder today, like this is why I say they're going to have to kill me. Like I am literally on a mission from God to try to make the world a better place. For him, for you guys, for my kids, my family, and, for myself. Like I maybe I'm overcompensating. Maybe I'm trying to make up for past sins. I think that there's definitely a lot of truth in that. And that also makes it easy for me to forgive and to want to show mercy on people no matter what they've done. Because if everybody had that mind state, if everybody was able to repent or try to repent the way that I have, I know that the world could be a better place. Like, we don't have to see all this bloodshed and people get eradicated for the world to get better. And I think that that is the difference between being a Christian and these other religions or lack thereof. Is that a lot of these other people believe that the only way that they can be safe and that there can be peace is to get rid of the other side. And that's not like making some kind of implication favoring one or the other. Like, because it's both sides going at it. And not even both sides, it's all sides. Because you have a lot of fake Christians that believe the same thing. And they're all just at it. And we're the ones suffering. We're the ones spilling our blood. We're the ones that are paying for this. Both financially and with our blood and with our souls. But if everybody really found Jesus and everybody really tried to repent, it could all end in a day. But the only way that could ever happen, when you have people that are stuck in their own bubble of bullshit, because make no mistake, I talk about how we're in our bubble of bullshit. A lot of these other people that are outside the bubble, it's almost like they're in this outer layer. Like they're not in our bubble of bullshit, but they're in like their own little bubble outside of the truth. And a lot of these people, they're just trying to reinforce it. They're lying to themselves so that they can lie to us. And the other point that I was trying to make is that even when I was at my worst, and the worst person that I was and committing all the sins, even when those women didn't want to have my children, there was not a single day in my life that I ever woke up and I was like this piece of shit. And I say this coming from the heart of a place that wants to be able to forgive this guy. I want to be able to show mercy. I want to see him repent. But he is somebody that I really feel needs to be singled out and needs to be shamed. And I think that he deserves all the shame that he's getting. Not just him, but his family. Not that his family deserves it, but like maybe that's the wake-up call that he needs. And we're going to go over why. Because this guy built his entire platform off of like being this hero and exposing the corruption. Like he was the one. This video right here, we'll watch this one first. We might watch this one first and watch this one last, where he talks about how he's never gonna let it go with the files. And then he got the job. He got in the position to make the change. And not only did he not do it, and listen, we'll get into everything. Like, I've heard the stories that, he was so disgusted. He said it's me or Pam Bondi. But listen, you know how I feel with all this stuff. actions speak louder than words. It's all WWE bullshit, okay? If this guy would have quit the job, like let's say he wanted to expose the corruption and he quit the job and just drifted off into the sunset with his family and fucked off and we never heard from him again, I would say leave him alone. Show mercy. But that's not what this scumbag did, okay? He built up his whole platform where he's talking about how he was going to do this and that we needed to see these files. We needed to drain the swamp. All the same bullshit that Trump was selling to us. He got the job. He got in the position where he could have made the difference. He covered it up. He knows. If J.E. is out there, he knows. If Charlie Kirk is alive, he knows. If somebody other than Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, he knows. We're going to watch a clip today. He's going to talk about how he was at the scene. It was a big, massive crime scene. That's news to me. I didn't think there was a crime scene at all that day. Not really. But he says, 100 agents on the scene. Never, he was there. He knows. He saw the files. He knows. And what did he do? What difference did he make? You know what he did? He fucking checked out. He took his ball, he went home, and then he got on his microphone and he started talking shit and continued to stick up and protect the same scumbags and the same institutions that he helped cover up for while he was at the job. And that's why you see him walk around. You see that video where the cop goes up to him saying, "Oh, you're a PDF protector. You're a PDF protector," and you see him with his head down, walking with his wife and his security guards in shame. Like, we see right through you, bro. All this podfather bullshit. Oh, you didn't think I was going to come back. Well, now I'm back. And, Joe Kent, he's a this and this one. And all you grifters out there, all you black pillars, all you losers that are just trying to defy MAGA, blah, 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 blah. Bro, listen, I'm trying to be Christian here. But I told you guys, I need 1 day a month. I need 1 day a month where I could just let it out. And even then, I'm still going to try to tame it. But to Dan Bongino, I just want to tell you, suck my dick, you piece of shit scumbag. You are a liar. You are a liar. We see through you. We know who you are. Your family has to know who you are. They can only live in denial for so long. And every single time, this piece of shit gets in front of a microphone, he has the opportunity to repent. Like, this is what drives me nuts. Every time he gets on his show and gets on the microphone, at any point, he could come clean. At any point, he could start dropping names. He could tell us what he knows. He could tell the truth. He could repent to God. He can really do the job that he said he was going to do and make the world a better place. And every time this lying sack of shit gets on that microphone, he continues to protect the same people that are ruining our world and ruining our country. He is complicit. 1,000%. 1,000%. And there are a lot of people that are trying to sympathize with him. And honestly, I think they're worse than people that sympathize for the painter. I really do. I think it's like that level of fucking stupidity and ignorance. How do you sympathize for this guy? Oh, well, maybe they're threatening him. Maybe they're this. We don't know. Maybe he wanted to do it. It's like, listen, like I said, if that was the case, then he should have fucked off. But he gets in front of that microphone every single day. He turns that camera on every single day. And he gaslights people like me. He gaslights people like Candace. He talks all this shit. He's bashing Joe Kent, an American hero who is doing the right thing, who actually has the fucking balls to step up and say something. And yeah, I know there's a chance he might be controlled opposition and that thing's bullshit. But you know what? This is the world that we're living in today. We have to at least hope that some of these people are real. And right now, I want to believe that Joe Kent is real. And this lying piece of fucking shit is sitting there trying to drag him down. Am I going too far? Am I wrong? Please, chat, let me know. Let me know. What do you guys think? Seriously, I haven't read the comments yet. I'm going to read them later. But for real, and listen, this is going to be a long night. This is going to be a long night. We are going to watch a lot of content. And when we're done watching the content, I'm going to go in the chat and I want you guys to send me even more clips. And we're going to play more. And then I want you guys to take the clips. I swear to God, I will send the raw file that I'm recording to this to every single one of you so that you can make clips and blast it out on social media. Because we are going to expose this piece of shit until he fucking leaves that microphone. He needs to be done. Listen, we know we're not getting the accountability. We know that these people aren't going to jail. You know, I've told you guys a million times that there's not going to be no civil war. There's not going to be any revolution. That's not the way. That is not the way. But you know what we can do? We can fucking shame this guy so bad that he can't show his face in public anymore. That he doesn't have the courage to turn that microphone and sit there and lie to the world. We need to pop his little bubble of bullshit and have him floating in the real world again and let him know what time it is. You know, and I would hate to be this guy. I really would. I'd hate to be his wife. I'd hate to be his kids. Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine having to carry that fucking name going around? Oh, who's your dad? What does he do? Oh, my dad's Dan Bongino. Fuck your life. Wait, the same Dan Bongino that... You know what I mean? And maybe that's what it takes. Maybe we just let these people know that the jig is up. We see through you. You're not going to get away with this. You're not going to be able to just say whatever you want and lie to everybody and cover up for PDFs and think that we're just going to let that shit slide. You know? And I'm not saying like there's hate speech. Like nobody should ever actually say things to his family or make them feel uncomfortable. It's not their fault, you know. But if they see enough stuff on social media, if they hear enough people talking about it in the street, at some point it's going to be like, Dad, like, why does the entire world think that you're a piece of shit that covers up for PDFs? It's like, well, sweetie, I mean, what happened was, you know, like, once upon a time, Daddy was a cop. I was one of New York's finest, like NYPD. And then in 1999, I got a job with the Secret Service. I didn't start working for them really, like, overnight. The first couple of years, I was in the office in New York because I'm a New Yorker, the Bronx, you know, and I make sure I keep talking like this so everyone knows I got that New York vibe. But then in 2006, you know, I got on presidential detail for President Bush. Yeah, that President Bush. George W. Bush. Mr. Weapons of Mass Destruction. Mr. Plane Must Hit Steel Kite. While that was going on over in Sarasota. Well, he was in Sarasota with this kid, with the students that were chanting that shit. We know what was happening in Manhattan. This fucking scumbag was working his detail. And then a couple years later, he was working Obama's fucking detail. Secret Service for two presidents. Two presidents that were also complicit with the files. And then what'd he do after that? In 2011, he ends up leaving the Secret Service. He decides he's going to get into politics. Did he run for office in New York, being the big bad New Yorker that he is? No. He ran for Senate in Maryland. And he lost. And then 2 years later, he ran for Congress in Maryland. And you know what happened? He lost. And then a couple years later, he moved to Florida and he ran for office in Florida. And you know what happened? He lost. And then next thing you know, he's a fucking Fox News commentator. He gets his little show. He ends up getting banned from YouTube during COVID. You know, that could have been staged. I mean, that really could have been part of some kind of psyop to, you know, give Rumble some credibility. You guys know how I am with Rumble. I really don't trust it. I think it's a trap. I mean, part of the reason why I think it's a trap is because this piece of shit's affiliated. But then he's on Rumble, this new freedom of speech platform, talking all this stuff about how we're not going to let the files go. And then all of a sudden he's in the FBI. And J.E. offed himself. And Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. And he's seen all the files. He was at the scene. He has the evidence. And then a year later, not even a year later, he quits. And he's back behind the microphone. And now every single person that's asking questions is anti-American. every single person that's asking questions is a grifter, they're an extremist, they're on the left, or they're part of some foreign operation, conspiracy theory to try to destroy the right, to try to destroy MAGA. No accountability, no truth, no integrity, just a bunch of lies from a piece of shit scumbag that was a deep state shill all the way back in the early 2000s. And he was probably in on this shit the entire time. So for all you people out there that are trying to rationalize things and try to sympathize with this piece of shit, you are part of the problem. You are a fucking retard. And you are part of the reason why scumbags like him feel comfortable getting in front of microphones and spewing the bullshit that they do. Because people like you believe it. And I don't. I refuse. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to conform. I refuse to comply. I refuse to be silent. And it doesn't matter how many people talk to me about my bad language. It doesn't matter how many phone calls I get from pastors or relatives or my mom or anybody else that says, Jimmy, I really like what you're doing. I know your heart's in the right place, but I think you need to do it differently. No. I'm sorry. Because I do know more than you. I do know what's going on. And I feel like I care more than you because I am dedicating everything I have to try to make a change. And there's not a single fucking one of you that could stop me. And I'm not going around telling people to follow me. It's up to people whether or not they're going to do that on their own. But if you're not going to follow me, stay the fuck out of my way. And that is my attitude from here on out. You guys ready to play some clips? Like I said, email me later. Anybody who wants the raw recording of this and you want to have some fun and post your edits and blast it all over, whatever, Facebook, Instagram, your own YouTube account, I don't care what you fucking do with it. As long as we get this shit out. Take a sip of my coffee. Oh, we're just getting started. It is going to be a long fucking night. It is going to be a good night. And as it says on the thumbnail, enough is enough. And Dan Bongino is only going to be the first of many. Because I'm running those old credibility reports that I've been talking about. And I'm like fucking Santa Claus. I'm making my list. I'm checking it twice. And I'm going to find out who's naughty or nice. And all these lying sack of shits that are on my naughty list are going to get exposed. Let me make sure my volume's right. And it's not. Yo, I can't. It's so retarded. What are we going to do? Yo, I'm telling you, though. And I only speak the way I do because of how much I care. Let me just throw that out there. Yo, I've been really torn. Like, I was really thinking about it. Like with this episode, because even my girl, like, she hates the language and everybody. And I'm like, you know what? When other people start speaking up in a nicer way, then I'll start speaking up in a nicer way too. But if I'm the only one that's going to be speaking up and I got to deal with the frustration of going around dealing with everybody with their heads in the sand or making excuses for this bullshit, then I'm going to handle it the way that I feel necessary. And tonight, the gloves are off. Where the hell is this? Is this it?
Huge story. Again, not a lot of people are talking about. There is a little current of information I'm getting that the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi may be finally releasing a lot of information on this Jeffrey Epstein case, which is a huge deal. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I'm hoping it does. I've been covering it for a long time. The Jeffrey Epstein case, you do not know all the details of this thing, I promise. There are a lot of really obviously powerful people. This part you know, but the specific names we may not, including, I believe, the Clintons, based on information I discussed yesterday, who were knee-deep in involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, and no one can figure out what the level of entanglement is. Jeffrey Epstein met with Obama's fixer, his lawyer, Catherine Rumler, who was always the one in the middle of these Obama scandals, and we can't figure out why, what they're hiding. Here's Marsha Blackburn, who has been all over this. She's a senator from Tennessee, Republican, obviously. And she's like, hey, man, is it time now? It's time to start overturning that rock and seeing what's underneath it. Check this out.
First off, before we check this out, isn't this tone a little bit different than what we're seeing now with this guy? You know, is it just me?
Repeatedly requested a subpoena for the complete unredacted Epstein flight logs from the FBI. I've also pushed for the release of Ghislaine Maxwell's unredacted little black book of contacts and addresses. The American people have the right to know who flew on his planes, who witnessed the crimes, and who potentially participated in his global sex trafficking ring. Yet time and again, in the last Congress, Democrat leadership and then FBI Director Wray stonewalled my request. But now, with Republican control of Congress and President Trump back in the Oval Office, we're going to see some real change on this issue. Just last week, the president...
I believe this is Marsha Blackburn, senator. I'm not sure for what state, though.
President's excellent pick for FBI Director Kash Patel vowed to work with me in releasing the Epstein records and breaking apart the trafficking rings that harm countless women and children across our country. To be clear, this is not a celebrity issue. This is about ending modern-day slavery and finding out who is participating in these sex trafficking rings.
Did you hear the key part of that? The Ghislaine Maxwell Black Book. What names are in there, man?
You tell us, Dan. You got to see the file. You and Kash Patel both. Like, this is the way they were talking forever. We got to get the names. What names are in the file? I played the clip a couple weeks ago of Kash Patel when he was on with who's that other guy? Glenn Beck, where he's like, yeah, the director of the FBI. He's the one that has the file. He's the one that has everything. And then all of a sudden, Kash Patel's director of the FBI, and he don't have shit. You know, it's funny how that works. Isn't it funny how that works? How, like, before they get the job, like, they're telling you exactly who has what and what we need to see and what they know is there and their sources and this and that. And then all of a sudden they get the job, and all of a sudden everything just changes. Files disappear. You know, it's not there. Their opinions change so quick, like that.
You understand how many powerful people probably want this thing to desperately go away? How many people...
And now you're one of them. Isn't it funny how that worked out?
People were interconnected with this Epstein sex ring operation. I heard from a reporter once that there were tapes. A very well-respected reporter, many of you know, that there are a lot of tapes out there of a lot of people. I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeff.
You hear what he just said? I'm not ever going to let that go. Now, keep in mind, okay, if you're one of these people that want to rationalize things and act like, oh, Dan Bongino, poor Dan, he must be in danger. He's saying all this now. He's a well, not now, but he was saying all this at that time. But think about what he's saying now. And just remember, before this, before he was saying this line of crap, he was Secret Service for George W. Bush and Barack Obama while they were both president. He was always in bed with the deep state. After that, he tried to get into politics. He thought that he was going to be the big swinging dick in town, and he struck out. 3 elections. The third one, he didn't even make it past the primary. And then all of a sudden, he became this tough guy, this man of the people. And then he gets the job, and he's a fucking shill again. So you tell me, do you really think that his mind changed? Or do you think that he just got exposed for who he is and who he's always been?
Jeffrey Epstein. I talked about it yesterday. You can go check it out. I'm not letting it go ever.
Ever. He's not letting it go, ever. You know what else he's not letting go? Of his dream of being a karate master. Yo, how did you guys ever take this guy serious?
This is karate, man. Double leg. The jump kick. The side kick. The roundhouse. The tie kick. Body.
Yo, how was anybody ever excited about this guy getting the job? I never understood that. Like when people said, oh, Dan Bongino, yeah, we got him in. That's one of his best guys. That's like the best guy to get the job. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's a Secret Service agent with a podcast. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You know, I let it play out. Same thing with Cash Patel. Like, I never thought that those two were good picks. And I was like the only one. So I'm like, okay, these people must know something I don't, you know? And that was before I learned about politics. To me, it was just common sense. Now look at him. This sorry sack of shit. Look at his eyes in both pictures. In the one on the left, he looks cracked out. Guy looks like a meth head. And the one in the right, he just looks like a sad, sad, pathetic man. A sad, sad boy.
They show up at MAGA clubs and cause chaos. They had a group of them show up this weekend after this event, calling people, forgive me for the language, folks, in the show, but screaming and cussing, calling people, by the way, not just me and others, calling attendees as even faggots and others. These are guys telling you they're part of your crew. This actually happened. They show up at MAGA clubs.
You see how he's trying to like rationalize what happened? But what actually happened? Let's see what actually happened. I'm going to pull my video because I already edited it out. Let's see what actually happened, like what he's talking about. Just going to shrink myself for a second. But let's get back to the show.
How did you put your name on it?
You're a pedophile protector. A pedophile protector. Pedophile protector. You put. I was a cop for 9 years. You're a pedophile protector.
Oh boy. Now, this video is to be kept light and to be funny and positive vibes. But I will say this. I have a lot that I have to say about this person, as I did. But hold on, there's another part that I want to show you. You know what? Screw it. Let's play the clip. Yo, his eyes are so buggy in this one, too. So buggy. Me reviewing me. Is that what I'm gonna do this live? Screw it. Why not? Yo, I keep doing that. Why? No, I said I was going to keep it light today, and this isn't exactly keeping it light, but since to give you guys a language. I was sat here for fucking how long while you're making millions of dollars talking all the shit about what you would do, and then all of a sudden you get the job as in the FBI, you get the position, you get the files, you have all this in front of you, and you cover it up, and you got the fucking balls to get back on this microphone and talk about how you're the podfather? Like, you are so lucky that you're not getting fucking put under the jail right now. Are you kidding me? And you're all about accountability?
I just showed you what we did or what we didn't. Did I not? I'm not sitting here going, hey, trust me, bro. I showed you. If you like it, great.
You showed us what? We got 3 million pages of everything that you should have showed us the whole year you were there. You didn't even make it a year. It was like 10 months, 11 months, and you fucking checked out. You're a pussy. And you got to walk around every fucking day for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter if they kill me today. Doesn't matter if they lock me up, throw me in jail, make up some shit. You still got to walk around for the rest of your fucking miserable life being Dan Bongino. the fucking scumbag who had the opportunity to fucking do this and covered it up. And this is exactly what I was talking about when I made that video. Because this guy talked all that crap about the files and accountability and draining the swamp. And then he went in and he bent the knee, he kissed the ring, and he protected the pedophiles. And he's a scumbag. Yo, I always got to throw in that he's a scumbag part. But he is. He is. Come on. Let's be real. All right, let me fix this up real quick. All right, I think me covering me was a first. Move that to the back of the line. Let's see what the next clip is. We did that one. We did that one. Yo, I can't with this guy, though. I really can't.
Sacrifice is beyond reproach. That doesn't mean that this current opinion is any more fact-based, because it's not. I'm really sorry, Laura. I mean, I read probably a lot more intelligence than he did, because they don't have a law enforcement function, the National Counterterrorism Center. They're an analytical clearinghouse. They're valuable. However, I had access to just about everything. And how you could come to the conclusion that the Israelis did it and there was no imminent threat here? Really? What about the anti-ship ballistic missiles, the drone program, 440 kilograms of 60% enriched nuclear material, their constant...
Now, he's saying he had more access to intelligence, and he's talking about the stuff with Iran there, I believe. But I'm pretty sure that Joe Kent running counterterrorism in America, that the counterterrorism unit, that he had the evidence. Like, why would Dan Bongino, if he was number 2 at the FBI, have everything on foreign intelligence for what's going on with Iran in the Middle East? How does that make sense? Right? How does that make sense?
Death to America chance? I mean, you know, that's called evidence. In some limited circles, we call that, you know, a clue. I mean, I don't know at what point you thought this wasn't an imminent threat after you've read a lot of the stuff I read. And by the way, that's just the open source stuff we can talk about on the air. I promise you, the president, I promise you, has a bevy of material that if he could do the Men in Black thing and erase your mind tomorrow, if he told you right now, you would come to the imminent threat conclusion in a snap.
Well, a senior U.S.
You would come to the conclusion in a snap. All right, let's have a Scooby-Doo moment. All right, Dan Bongino, why don't you tell us who you really are?
That's right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, the defense of Israel.
Wait.
That's right.
Wait. What cause is dear to your heart? Like, you could have given literally any answer in the world. You could have talked about your wife. You could have talked about your children. You could have talked about America. You could have talked about Jesus. But no, Dan Bongino, what cause is dear to your heart?
Right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel.
Now, could that have anything to do with the statements that he just made? Seriously, serious question. Could that have anything to do with why you covered up for the PDFs and the files? Could that have anything to do with your role in covering up what actually happened with Charlie Kirk that day? I think these are legitimate questions that need to be asked, and not just by me. I think they need to be asked by everybody. Chat, what do you guys think? After hearing this, do you think that more people should be asking this question about why Dan Bongino did what he did, covered up for what he covered up for when he was in the position, and why he continues to actively promote certain causes and actively cover up what he's been covering up on his own platform?
What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel.
I think it's a valid question. Oh, we played that one. Oh, this is a good one. I think this is when he ripped into Candace. I don't know. I didn't watch this yet. I saw the 8-minute one. I'm not sure. This one's 2 minutes and change. So let's see what he has to say here about Erica Kirk or Erica France-Faye.
Erica didn't choose this, man.
Oh, what happened? Oh, we're still waiting for
She
him
didn't
to talk.
choose this.
Okay.
Imagine sitting there in your house and you find out from Twitter or, I don't know, a text or a phone call or that your husband was just shot in the neck for the entire world to see on social media at a public event. I can't imagine that. I know you can't either. Then you got to go through this. Then you got a bunch of absolute fucking lunatics sending her emails. You did it. Comments, tweets. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. You demonic fucking scum.
Well, I don't think he's talking about me because, as I've said, I don't even know if I believe that Charlie's really dead anymore. But that's just me. So I won't take offense.
For as much as I hate what just happened, I wish ill on no one, and everyone should restrain their emotions.
That's a hell of a thing to say after you're just like, fuck you, fuck you. All right, let's go. Let's see what else he has to say here. Let's see if he closes it out strong.
The other side, because they are not on our side. Everyone.
Wait, not on our side. When you say not on our side, whose side are you talking about? Are you talking about America's side? Or are you talking about the side that's most near and dear to your heart?
That's right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel.
So, Dan, I think the real question is, it's not whose side are we on? It's whose side are you on?
One. Once you go down the road of violence, there's no turning back. There's always someone stronger than you, man. Always. There's a whole lot of people stronger than me. But I'm sorry if the language distracts from you, but I can think of no other New York way to say it than fuck you, motherfuckers.
Well, you ran for office in Maryland, so you could think of a Maryland way to say it. You also ran for office and lost in Florida, so you could think of a Florida way to say it. And, I mean, Israel is what you say is most near and dear to your heart, so you could have thought of an Israeli way to say it. I don't think the whole New York thing really fits you anymore, Bongino. Especially because I don't know if you know this or not, but New York as a whole, I mean, especially the boroughs, it's kind of a leftist state. I hate to break it to you. It's not really, as MAGA as you think. The island is very MAGA. I know certain parts of upstate might be more right wing, but like where you're from, I don't know.
You deserve to feel the little licks of the flames of hell.
Yo, didn't you just say that you don't wish ill on anybody? And now you're talking about we deserve to feel the flames of the little licks of hell? Like, what does that even mean? Like, that sounds like some kinky shit that you would say to your boyfriend on a Friday night. Oh my God. You know what? I'm not going to say anything derogatory. I'm not going to stoop to Dan Bongino's level.
On every inch of your body. Fuck you. If there's an afterlife, and I believe there is, I believe in the second creation. I don't pretend to be the judge and jury, but I know you're not in it.
Who told you that? Baal, Malik, or Einstein? Like seriously, like what is this guy talking about? He literally covers up. He is like officially knighted the PDF protector. And he's going to talk about where we're going in the afterlife? Please. Please. Oh, we played this one. Oh, here we go. You know what? When he talks about feeling the flames of the licks of hell, maybe him and Cash were licking each other. What do you guys think?
And look for this material coming to Congress.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one. And that.
Look at his face. Look at his face right now. Look at Bongino's face. And look at Cash. Cash looks nervous. But Bongino, like, he looks like he would rather be anywhere else right now. He really does. He looks like he wishes that he could be in one of those freaking bunkers in Tel Aviv right now with all those other people that like to feel the flames of the licks of hell with his tongue up somebody's ass. That's where he looks like he would rather be than sitting in that chair right now.
That's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I'm so glad you saw it, Dan.
I know it's hard work, but you promoted Stephen Jensen, the architect of the FBI's overzealous January 6th investigation.
I want the American public to realize what we did. That man was in a position where he literally fought back against the machine who was saying, we want to politicize this event. Mm-hmm. We want to politicize this event. And at the end of the day, remember, Maria, there's a chain of command here. So you can fight back your chain of command to a certain degree before they fire you. And Steve Jensen and other folks were promoted because they embody what the American public demands of FBI agents.
To get to the bottom of something like January 6th and the pipe bomber case, for example, you need three things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. I'll allow the public to put that together.
Yo, I swear, this guy's bullshit goes further back than his hairline. I'm not even kidding.
And just wait, and you'll see. Nothing we're doing, nothing is by accident.
People who are, quote unquote, supposedly on the side of reporting truthfully should take a look at.
You hear what they say? Quote unquote, on the side of people that are reporting truthfully. Who do you think is reporting more truthfully in 2026? Me or Dan Bongino? You know what I mean? Like, yo, the gaslighting is insane. It's insane. And look at him. He knows he's full of it. He knows he's full of it. To these guys, to these individuals, do they have the faces? Do they have the eyes? Do they have the demeanor of people that are telling the truth? That people that believe in their words? Or do they just look like a couple of schmucks that just don't want to be there, and they're just there because they have to, and they're just going through the motions, just saying, just reading the script as they're told?
At this instance, because they are setting up circular firing squads. And Dan and I have already told the FBI, every employee that acted appropriately, we are going to defend you to the hill. Literally, no matter the consequences. But for the media who's gone.
Are they talking about employees that are acting appropriately, or are they talking about PDFs? I just can't tell anymore.
On through the disinformation cycle of Russiagate, of January 6th, for them to come in here and take the clickbait and write articles based on half-truths doesn't hurt us. This is what I'll tell you something I didn't think we were going to get into today. But every morning we tell our leadership cadre when we sit down with them, nothing written in the media is going to affect him or me.
Look, you said illegal alien.
So he says nothing written in the media is going to affect him or me. I mean, could that be because they freaking own the media and they know what's going to be written in the media? Like, what if we were the media? You know what I mean? Like what if we were dictating what the people were going to hear. You think maybe it would affect them a little bit? Look at this guy every single time. Every time he gets on camera. No, oh no.
You want accountability? Fine. Be fair about it. At least speak honestly about these Democrats involved in these files. Reid Hoffman, Clinton. How about that shit? Everything's a bullshit attack on the Trump administration as if there was never any effort at all. That's bullshit. And again, for the 1,000th time, if you're waiting for me here to be like, oh, look, we're all here. There's no, listen, look, Fokker, check me out here. Eyeballs, listen to me. There are no fucking heroes in this story. You understand?
Yeah, there's no heroes in the story because it's the story's getting told by you, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Howard Lutnick, Marco Rubio. Like, you're all a bunch of scumbags. You know? And Joe Kent, he seems like a hero. Tulsi Gabbard, once upon a time, I thought she was a hero. I'm still praying that she's the real deal and that she's trying to pull some kind of strings behind the scene to make some kind of change. But you saying there's no heroes in this story? You're like just trying to strip the little hope that we have left, trying to push it back to the left, you know, make it like a left versus right thing. Just continue to drive the wedge between the two sides. Like we don't know it by now that it's just a giant uniparty. Like, come on.
Understand? Mistakes are made all the time. All you can do is try to correct them and explain them. And again, don't over-explain them. Just explain what you did and why. There are people who are going to disapprove you. That's okay. It's never comfortable for the person who's disapproved of. However, it's okay. And it's far better than the alternative, which is suppressing people's voices. But there are no heroes in any of these stories. There's just the truth. And now you can see it for yourself. But these liberal media people are full of shit.
The liberal media people are full of shit. What about you, Dan? What about you, Dan? Are you full of shit? Are you honest? Are you telling us the truth? What do you guys think, chat? Chat, do you guys think that Dan Bongino is telling the truth or has told the truth at any point? This guy is pathetic. And he needs to be exposed. Oh, let me make myself small again. Just keep going.
On the Epstein files, listen, I know this is a hot potato for folks. I totally understand. My comments were clear. I'm not paid for my opinions anymore. I work for the taxpayer now. I'm paid on evidence. That's it. The evidence we have in our files clearly indicates that it was, in fact, a suicide. We do have video. It's not the greatest video in the world. I don't want to set expectations on fire. However, the video does show in that specific block that he goes in, made a phone call. You'll see 12 hours of guards going to basically check on him, come back. You'll see no one really comes out in that bay, in that area, than him. There's no one in there. When you combine that with the other evidence, we will be...
What evidence? What evidence? Because from what I understand, all these guards that he's talking about that were checking, that they were new, that they had gotten brought in. That one of the guards was posting on 4chan saying that he saw that there was somebody getting snuck out or somebody leaving in like some kind of military gear that he thought might have been J.E. We also know that the picture in the autopsy does not look like him, has a completely different nose, different ears. We know that the evidence in the autopsy says that the man had an enlarged prostate, but we know from the evidence in the files that he had surgery and had his prostate removed. So, like, when Dan Bongino talks about the evidence and says that he offed himself, even though they're, like, missing the minute or two of footage, and there's all these different anomalies, and you know how I am with anomalies. Like, and I don't try to say, oh, there's a couple of anomalies, it must mean a conspiracy. No. Like, we have hard evidence. We have an autopsy that doesn't match up with his medical records. We have a picture in the autopsy that does not match up with him. We have evidence from his Fortnite account that he was playing after he was deceased. There are pictures of someone that has a striking resemblance just bouncing around in Tel Aviv right now. So when Dan Bongino talks about the evidence that he offed himself, I have to ask, what the fuck are you talking about?
Releasing in the coming weeks. We're still finalizing some of the products. I think it's pretty clear. However, as I've clearly indicated in some of my tweets on my official account, listen, investigations, if new...
His tweets on his official account. His tweets on his official account.
New information services in the future on any of these cases, we're always open. I'm just telling you, there's nothing there in the file, at all that indicates anything other than, in fact, a suicide.
Nothing in the file at all. At all. We're crazy for even asking. Why would we even ask? And then here we go. Megyn Kelly, another one. I'm not going to rip into her. People tell me that I shouldn't go so hard on her, but it's tough, man. It's tough. Ever since I saw her sticking up for the lawyer, we'll say, the one I'm not going to name, and going out of her way to discredit Virginia Giuffre, and ever since I heard her talk about how, she has contacts in the FBI, and that, J.E. wasn't really a PDF, that he just liked him a little young. I'm sorry. I think this woman is a bimbo. She has no credibility as far as I'm concerned, and I think she's controlled up. But that's just my opinion.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly.
The FBI team did an amazing job. The state and local partners could not have been more.
Oh, by the way, he's talking about Charlie Kirk. He's saying that the FBI did a really good job. He's not talking about, planting evidence. He's trying to say like they did a really good job on the scene of the crime. Let's hear it.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show.
The FBI team did an amazing job. The state and local partners could not have been more cooperative. And I know when tragedies like this happen, this isn't time for back patting. Who cares? We lost Charlie. But I do want you to know, as taxpayers and citizens, you pay for the FBI, you pay for your Utah DPS and other entities out there, that there's been none of this kind of internal fighting that may have happened in the past. Our ERT, our evidence response team, Megyn, that was a massive crime scene, hundreds of people, articles of, I can't get emotional about this. You have to just process information. But I was there in the crime scene, and we spent a couple of days there, both the director and I. And when you go in the room where they had put the school bags and one of the things that really hit me, there's a room where all of the personal articles that were left behind at the scene, which were significant, were being stored on the campus. And, when you're processing all this and it hits you, weird things. You think about the weirdest of things, and I couldn't believe how many water bottles. Everybody had one of those water bottles. I don't know what they're called. The kids have these fancy water bottles, and they were everywhere in the room. And there was baby carriages and things like that. And our evidence response team responded and immediately had this crime scene ready to go. And we had an agent there in 16 minutes from the time Charlie was shot. And thanks to the incredible work of the state and local partners as well, they were able to process this crime scene and accumulate an unbelievable amount of forensic evidence. When you walk the crime scene, there is little they did not think of. When I was up there on the roof.
Do we have any idea? Do we have any idea why the roof wasn't covered by security?
I don't, Megyn, and as someone in the security space, it's fairly easy for me to Monday morning quarterback anyone. I have done events with Charlie, quite a few, as a matter of fact, and I've always found his security team to be very professional. I did a Turning Point event where I joked one time that they had better magnetometers than I saw in the Secret Service. Why in this case was the roof uncovered? I can't say. I think in the future, at political events, regardless of who's speaking. I think there's going to be a significant change in security posture going forward. The FBI team.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly.
The
Welcome to the
FBI
Megyn
team
Kelly.
did
I
an
don't know why that
amazing
keeps
job.
happening.
The state and local.
I don't know why that kept happening every time I clicked. That was annoying. Yo, I was laughing because I was looking at the chat. Yes. Apparently, I have the same panels on my wall that the FBI has at the whatever office that was or studio. Oh my god! But yo, I like. Can you guys see? Can you guys see why this guy gets on my nerves? And think about it. He gets in front of the camera every single day, pushing the narrative, pushing the bullshit. Every single day, this guy gets on camera. He has an opportunity to tell the whole world the truth. All right, let's keep going. Oh.
And wanted the files released, going so far as no longer showing up to work and telling Donald Trump that Trump had to choose between me and Pam Bondi. And from what I've heard, Trump said, okay, I choose Pam Bondi. There were times over the summer when Trump was asked whether we still had a deputy FBI director, and Trump responded, I don't know, you'll have to ask Dan Bongino. Well, by August, Trump announced that for the first time in its history, the FBI would have a power sharing situation with two deputy FBI directors. Dan Bongino stays at the job, but would share the title of deputy FBI director with former Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Dan Bongino, the big tough guy, was put in his place, and he was told, you leave when we say it's okay for you to leave. Now, he wanted to get back to his lucrative podcast, but those podcasts are only lucrative when right-wing advertisers are on board, and all those right-wing advertisers are terrified of Donald Trump. So if Bongino stormed out of his job to protest the cover-up of the Epstein files, Trump and his people would see to it that no more phony miracle drugs that promise to cleanse your body of the COVID vaccine would advertise on your podcast. And again,
did you guys hear what he just said? Because I found that to be one of the most telling. I found that to be one of the most telling clips out of all the clips that I went over for this stream tonight. He basically said that Bongino did not like the way that the administration was handling everything, that he did want the files released, and that he bumped heads with Pam Bondi behind the scenes, and that he wanted to quit sooner, and that they didn't let him quit, that he wanted to take his ball and go home and go back to his podcast where he could talk his shit and make all the money, and that he came to the realization that there wasn't going to be much money to be made unless he played ball. So according to that individual, he's basically implying that Dan Bongino said, I'm not going to do the job. I don't want to do the job like this. I want to go back to doing what I was doing. And they said, that's fine, but you're going to push our narrative or you're not going to make money. And that means, if that is true, that every single time Bongino gets in front of the camera, gets in front of the microphone, opens up his stupid mouth, that he is selling his soul again, that he's selling us out again every time he opens his mouth, because every single show he does, he continues to push the narrative, push the agenda, and protect the PDFs so that he could get that sponsor money, so he can get those advertisers to fill up and line his pockets. What do you guys think about that assessment? Like, what else am I supposed to take away from that clip? Right? Let's keep going. I got a couple more. Yo, shout out to Dave Smith. This is going to be a fun one. I'm going to have to make myself small for this one. All right. And guys, do me a favor. If you haven't already, just do me a favor. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Also, don't forget, I'm going to be doing a lot of members-only stuff. I saw the chat, some of the stuff that you want me to talk about. At least one of those topics I will talk about in the members-only, but I'm not going to talk about here. And I think it's Reg. I think the one that Reg was bringing up before. But we'll touch more on that later.
This talk of protecting children, your legacy is protecting pedophiles. You're just not in any position to come fucking police this space. Sorry, dude. It's not going to happen.
Also, this is what, day one of Dan Bongino out of the FBI. So this is going to ramp up. This is just round one, baby.
There's something about the age we live in, man, where people are getting exposed. When people were always full of shit and then people didn't see through it, thought they were the real deal, and then they find out that, oh, no, you were full of shit the whole time. There are so many people like this. So many people who were like respected figures just a few years ago who have like their credibility has gone to zero. And Dan Bongino might be the best example out of all of them.
You think he tops Fauci?
No. Fair point. No, he doesn't top Fauci. Probably nobody tops.
I don't think anybody tops Fauci or Bill Gates, except maybe Trump, only because of his position.
So you're saying as he reemerges into the conservative marketplace for news and he backed the regime on not investigating Epstein, he might get treated like a Fauci figure where people are dismissive and
honestly, even as I say it, it's up there. It's almost as bad as Fauci, because like the thing is that it's not that Dan Bongino sat there and then and said, we're going to get to the bottom of Russiagate. We're going to get to the bottom of Epstein. We're going to get to the bottom of election fraud. We're going to get to the bottom of all this stuff, and then didn't do anything. Like, that would be one thing. That would be like you failed. But that's not what he did. He actively covered up the Epstein case. So he didn't fail. He
is still actively covering up the case. Because I don't think he really quit the job. I think he basically just got transferred back to where he was before.
Exposed himself as the deep state. He was the anti-deep state guy and then proved you're the deep state. And I mean, look, the guy was a Secret Service agent and then an FBI director.
Again, he was Secret Service for Bush and Obama. He went from Bush's detail to Obama's detail to 3 failed attempts at elected office. And then all of a sudden he became the podcaster. Like, how did people not put it together from day one that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the most sincere person on the platform? Maybe, just maybe, he was some controlled opposition the whole time. I mean, if he was deep state back then, if he was Secret Service back then, and then he was a failed elected official, or he wasn't even elected official, he didn't get elected. And now we know that he's a deep state show and some form of controlled opposition. What makes you think he was ever real?
Inside baseball diss that he's at Fauci levels of credibility.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I think so. I think, and look, I do think this was like a good example of it today. And he particularly, like, he disgusted a lot of people in his own base who are like, yo, what? I mean, like, look, it even writes itself. It's like, dude, where was all this heat for the fucking deep state criminals, dude? Oh, your beef is just with me. Your beef is with a comedian who called you out for your bullshit. And look, He knows I'm sitting here challenging him to debate. He's spending all this time talking about me. He knows he won't do that.
Dan ran for Senate of Maryland.
There's a category of people that
Congress
I work with that
What is
are
this?
infuriatingly talented.
Yeah, Dan ran for he ran for Senate and he ran for Congress. In 2 different states, neither of which New York, by the way. Let's see, did I play this one yet? Is this the Podfather one? I don't know if I played this yet. Oh yeah, here we go. You guys ready? This is the one. I'm not going to give a rant on this video because I already did. This is the one that I went viral with on Instagram.
The third group of people I want to address are the grifters out there who mistakenly thought I wasn't coming back. Now, I am back. The Podfather is back, and I'm here to take back this movement. This movement's been hijacked by a small group of dipshits and bums and losers who are nothing but doomers under the frame of accountability. I'm all about accountability. I just showed you what we did or what we didn't. Did I not?
Oh, he does the karate here too? No way.
Annihilate the black pillars or the.
Oh, it's Alex Jones. I didn't even know what clip it was.
People that are all gloom and doom. I totally agree with that idea.
Oh my God.
But then you see the nebulous stuff he puts out, and he says, "I'm in charge. I'm going to control this. I'm the boss. You're all, done." And it's like a little kid, like challenging the sky and saying, "I'm going to get you," or a mountain. It's pathetic. Dan, people are mad at no action by the DOJ, no real indictments. That's a legitimate thing. That's not black-pilled. People being really concerned is heartfelt. There are some that are nothing but gloom and doom about everything. I get criticizing them, and I don't even want to see you destroyed. You've done a lot of talented work. You've covered a lot of big stories back when you were a podcaster. But you're crashing out. You're flipping out on everybody and saying, "I'm the boss and I determine stuff," and leaving it all nebulous, very Gnostic, is pathetic. So let me give you some advice, man to man. Just cover news topics, expose big news stories, move on from this. You're challenging the internet and saying, "I'm going to expose you with no specifics," is the perfect way to destroy yourself. And I want to see you redeemed. I want to beat the globalists. I want to see a weapon against tyrants brought back into the field. Jesus. Like, dude, you are so pathetic. I watch it and I'm like, is this real? Is this actually happening? I mean, I am just dumbfounded. I am godsmacked right now by you. And I'm so upset. I mean, it's just crazy. Join us in our frustration. Push for real reform. Don't tell us we haven't done anything.
And it's crazy too, because if you listen to Alex Jones in 2026, he doesn't seem to be the most trustworthy source of information anymore either. And I'm not trying to drag Alex Jones. I mean, I've seen him do a lot of good work over the years, but he's kind of questionable too.
I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but it says, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure that?
Look at those eyes. I was going to try to format it real quick. I don't know if I can play this clip, though, because of the music. I'll probably do this in the members only. Yeah, I'm going to save this one for members only. Guys, we're almost done, and then I'm going to hang out with you here for, like 15 minutes or so. I'll read the chat, hang out, do my thing, and then I'm going to go eat, and then I'm going to come back and do a members-only video, and we'll do some Q&A. Oh, actually, oh no, that was the last video. I thought I had more videos. We went through them pretty quick. How long was that? Oh, wow. We've been going for an hour and a half already? Time flies when you're talking shit. I didn't realize we went through them all. Wow. No, I'm not going to fall asleep. I took a nap. Listen, I'm not going to say it's never going to happen again because it probably will. But I legitimately felt bad last night. I woke up. It was like 2:30, 3 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I fucked up. I was literally working on the thumbnail. I called Danks, and he said he was coding and he was doing something on X, and he was going to be in Spaces. So I'm like, all right, can't stream with him. I messaged American Discourse, and then I'm working on the thumbnail. I was going to reach out to like Keli or Rogue or somebody else, see if they wanted to stream with me. And I blink and I open my eyes and it's like 3 in the morning. And I'm like, they're going to be so mad at me. I told everyone, if you're going to wake up, put a 1 in the chat. I'll be on later. So that's why I said I'm going to do an extra live and I'm going to make up for it tonight. So right now, I'm going to hit the outro. I'm going to stick around here for a little bit and hang out and talk. But then I'm going to switch to members only and do a more open Q&A, speaking of other topics. So hold on. I'm not going to give my closing speech. I'm just going to hit the thing. So I'm not really closing out, so there's no point. All right. Thank you, Elena, for the membership. And also, thank you, Scruffmeister, for the super, $20. I appreciate that, buddy. For all the hearty laughs tonight, Bays, keep it up. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And when I do the members only, I'm going to do it on StreamYard so I can pull up the comments. That's going to be the other reason why I'm going to switch streams. I'm going to go eat, and it's not going to be a long thing. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to come back in, an hour, 2 hours. Like, I'm going to be gone, like, I'm going to take a 15-minute break to eat something and stretch my legs, and then I'm just going to open up the members only live. So you guys know. And I'll be on StreamYard. I'll do the Q&A. I'll pull up the comments. And we'll hang out as late as you guys want because I really want to make up for yesterday. I felt like such a dick. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe I did that to him. You know what I mean? Like, I got the best base. I got the best people. Like, you guys really are the best. And that's why, like, just like any other relationship, any other friendship or whatever, like, you get to know each other as time goes on. And just like you guys have gotten to know me watching my stream, I've gotten to know a lot of you guys too. And as you know, because some of you, we, go back and forth with email. Some we've gone back and forth in DMs. Some of you even got my phone number. And if you do, don't say who you are. Don't give it out. More of you will get added to that list as time goes on. I've also been talking to Danks and, the Saturday show that we're doing with Keli. A couple weeks back, we set it up where we sent out a link so people were able to come up to the stage. But Danks is talking about getting a phone number just for the show where we'll put it out there at a certain point in the show and everyone will get like 2 or 3 minutes and you'll be able to call in and we'll start taking calls. And you can say whatever you want. Ask us questions. Ask us to look stuff up. We'll ask a question. You give the answer. Like, we have so many different ideas, so many different things that we want to do. And not just to grow our channels, but to grow the community and to give you guys more of a voice and let you guys be a part of the show. And I don't know. I think it's awesome, especially, because me and Danks, we both have ideas and we'll literally sit here for like 3 hours on the phone, just spitballing, going back and forth about, what we could do, what we should do. And we got some crazy ideas like that cook-off that I was talking about yesterday. Like me and him were talking about it today. That's really going to happen. We're going to have a live stream. We're going to promote it in advance and we're going to have a live stream where we both have our equipment set up in our kitchen. And we're going to make a dish. And obviously, you guys aren't going to be able to taste it. It's going to be more like how it looks. But we're both going to try to do some like gourmet cooking shit. And that's not the type of thing that's going to like grow the base. That's all about you guys. That's about doing something that we know that you guys are going to think is funny and that you're going to laugh and that we're all going to have fun and make it a moment, but that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It can't just be about, you know, like me doing the show. It can't just be me getting in front of a camera, cursing and yelling and talking crap and exposing people. Like, there has to be something else to it. Make it lamb chops. Baby back ribs. Love that idea. Oh, man. Oh, Jeannie, thank you. Have a good one. Oh, good night, Elena. I'm like looking at who I'm missing here. Yes, please hit the like. So how are you guys doing tonight? I'm pausing here. What do I have my latency at? Oh, it's low. Okay. Side hurts from laughing. Well, you know, this episode really wasn't meant to be that funny. Like, this was kind of a serious topic today. Although I did intend it to be funny, where like I spilt my guts out and talked about like all my darkest times and all my worst moments and sins, and then transition to it being like, at least I never had to wake up being Dan Bongino. You know, like that was something I thought about a while ago. I was just waiting for the right time. This episode was always going to be about Dan. It was either going to be Dan Bongino or Ben Shapiro. It was going to be one or the other. But, you know, but because like Ben Shapiro has just always been Ben Shapiro, you know, like he's a fraud in his own right, but at least he's consistent. You know, like Bongino, like he's a different kind of animal because he pretended that he was one of us. You know, like he pretended like he was fighting the good fight and he was a leader in this fight. And in reality, he was just always a two-faced shill. You know, he was an op the whole time. Like, Dan Bongino on the microphone is no different than, like, a Fed in plain clothes on January 6th. It's like the same thing. He's just here pushing the narrative, trying to lead people in the wrong direction and stirring the pot. That's how I see it, at least. Yeah, Shapiro, it would have been too easy. It would have been too easy. You know, that like talk about punching, you know, swinging low or punching down, whatever the term is. Like, no. Screw that guy. Oh, Kelly, I think I saw it. Yeah, I think it was you that commented on the video that I put out this morning. Yo, I put out that video. I took the time. I could have found the one regret I have is the part where I was going back and forth with Charlie and Erica in that video that I put out this morning. I could have gotten better quality footage and I could have edited it a little bit better to make it like look cleaner. But I was really just having fun with it. And I did take my time with it in other ways, like getting the right clips and figuring out like what I was going to have them say. But I did that video for you guys because I felt bad about falling asleep last night. So I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that when everybody wakes up that I have something for them, you know, like, and then it came out pretty good. I was thinking about making it members only. And then I'm like, nah, I'm like, that's cheap. I'm like, I might as well make the video for everybody. And then I'll do a members only. I'll do something, you know, to make this special tonight. But yeah, I appreciate all the support. Yeah, oh, I see you guys referencing gas. Oh, Mad, you're out? All right, Mad, have a good night. And I actually, I'm going to hit you up tomorrow about the Discord. Oh, man. What time is it? Midnight? Yeah, yo. We're gonna have fun. Because also on the members only stuff, I don't monetize those videos. like since you guys are paying the subscription, and there are 2 tiers. You could either do the $6 or the $10 one. Anybody getting the $10 one is going to be getting a free hoodie. I actually, oh my God, it's Stacy's going to kill me. I never sent Stacy or Mad their hoodies. I also got these long sleeve shirts, but I had there was reasons why I didn't get the merch out as quick as I thought. But we actually just put the order in today. So I know I said it before, and then things came up and there was problems, so I didn't do it. But next week, I don't know if I'm gonna officially launch the merch because I still got to set up the account and like the website and whatnot so that I'm able to sell it. But anybody who is supposed to be getting a free merch, or anybody who is a based the base tier member is going to be getting their hoodie. So just so you guys know. But for the members only lives, I don't monetize them. So that gives me the ability to like do a little bit more and show different clips. Like I can get away with playing stuff with music. I can get away with, saying certain things that I couldn't otherwise. So, I mean, that's good too. I really want to make the membership worth it. Because like I said, I don't have a big channel. I am doing this full time. It has been kind of a struggle, which I'm not complaining. The channel's growing. Everything's going great. It's just taking time to get it to where I need it to be, especially with living in New York and having a bunch of kids and everything. Like, it's not easy. So like I need this to have some level of success. And the memberships really help with that. It's not getting me where I need to be, but as time goes on, I'm expecting that it will. But I want to make it worth it. It's got to be mutually beneficial. And I'm putting as much work as I'm putting into my content for the public to try to grow the channel. I'm also trying to match that effort with what I do for my day ones and the members. So just so you guys know. And I do also want there to be a difference between it. Like I want there to be things that I do on the members only lives that I don't do on the regular lives. I mean, I think it only makes sense. Let me read some of these comments. Yeah, AWC, get some rest. I'll talk to you later. We trade with China as well as US, so people are just panic buying like toilet paper, COVID, other places. Yeah, I don't know if people should really be worrying about that. We got the Alley Files research team in the building. What's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, I like to believe that I'm organic. Oh, you think we're working well together? Thanks. You talking about me? You're talking about Alley Files team. I think we're all working together to some degree. Yo, shout out to Alley. They're good people. They've been a friend of the channel since day one. They know I'm a friend to them. For real. And I try to get along with everybody. I even had a conversation with somebody from Barron's team yesterday. It was a really good conversation. I spoke about it a little bit on the members live, but I'll talk about it now. Like there was the whole, and this is the last time I'm ever going to speak about this because I spoke it on the members, but I haven't spoken on the public live. Like we all know there was like the little drama that went on in the chats and whatnot, and I spoke on it. I made some jokes. I don't know if I went too far, maybe debatable, whatever. But like I said, I had reached out first. They didn't get the message right away. I believe them. I don't, for a second I thought I was blown off, but now I don't really think that that's the case. But, they saw what was going on. They reached out, had a great conversation, all love both ways. The misunderstandings have been resolved. The other issues with other people, I believe, are as resolved as they need to be. And it is all love. So just so you guys know. I know, like, we were all talking a little shit at times, and I had my reasons. Some of you had your reasons, but like, we're all on the same team. We might have different theories and different opinions on certain things, and, at times, maybe not seeing completely eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. I've said from day one that I'm a huge fan of Barron, that he was one of my inspirations for doing this, And that has never changed. That has never changed. I am just impulsive. I'm very transparent. And when I feel like I'm under attack or people that I care about are under attack, I'm going to speak up. That's just the way that I am. It doesn't mean that it's always personal. You know, it's just the way it is. So I just want to say shout out to Baron, shout out to Daisy, shout out to all of his mods. You know, it's all love. I'm seeing a couple of memberships over here. That's good because we're getting ready to close out. I'm going to stick around for another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to put up the link, and we're just going to go at 12:30, members only. And then we're going to talk about all the stuff you want to talk about. And I know one of the topics you guys want to talk about, something that I was posting about today. You're gonna have to be on the members only to hear that one, though. Kay Breach, thank you for the super. Oh, yeah. Reginator, thank you for becoming a member. Who else became a member? I thought I saw another one. Sunny Days, thank you for becoming a member. Kay Breach with a 50. Love you, Bays. And yes, me and Ness want our hoodies. Yes, you guys are definitely on the list for the hoodies. Don't worry, they're coming. Thank you so much for the super. Wow, that's very kind. That's very generous. No, it's going to be a fun night. Yeah, like I said, with that other thing, we're not going to... And Allie Top Files is in the house. Allie, what is good? Showing up. Showing up. Yeah, no, like I said, it's all love. And it's totally understandable. Like, there are a lot of different people in this space, whether they're researchers, whether they're content creators, whether they're influencers, whether they're even in politics or were in politics at some time or another. And, you know, you could have people that are on the same team that are going to have disagreements, that are going to bump heads, that are not going to get along, that maybe something will get a little personal. Like these things happen. But at the end of the day, when you really believe in the cause and you're not in it for yourself, you have to know when to just like let things go, when to, you know what I mean? You got to know when you're all on this, like you got to know who your friends are, you got to know who your allies are. Sometimes your allies aren't necessarily your friends. But if you believe in the same cause, the cause is bigger than you. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, and I think that also goes with being a Christian, it's mercy, it's forgiveness, it's repentance, it's changing the way you think. Because there are situations where you might be wronged, like somebody might wrong you, but you might not handle it the right way. You might overreact. You might not react the right way. You might lash out. And even though, you know, you weren't the one that started it, or they came at you first, if you're not handling it the right way, then you are just as much of the problem. And I feel like that is a lesson that everybody learns or should learn at one point or another. And, you know, like that, I don't know if that's necessarily what I would say happened here, but I think with at least some of the people involved, that definitely should resonate with. 100, yo, K Breach dropping the 50 and pushing the memberships. Thank you. Storm to Light, what are your thoughts about? Oh, I'm not trying to bait people into the memberships, but that is going to be the topic for the members only at 12:30. I already said that earlier. And that's also because there's also a reason for that. It's because with the members only live, I always get more personal and I'll go into more details about stuff because some things I just don't want to air out for everybody. You know, like there are certain topics, like if you're at a party, there are the things that you're going to say to everybody in the room, and then there might be the conversation that you have in the garage. Does that make sense? And that's kind of like the best way that I could compare, because I'm a very transparent person. Like I offer a lot. Like, as you know, if you watch the beginning of this stream, you'll see just how much I'm willing to share. You know, but with certain topics, to things that are pertaining to other people and current events, it's like some of those conversations I just prefer to have in the garage. '86 is 86 in the chat? I didn't see. Oh, 86. If you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Yo, we're still waiting for 86 to put out her first video. What the hell is up with that? 86 is my sister, by the way. And so is Kay Breach. Just so you guys know. Put that out there. See? I'm very transparent. Love you, girls. All right, here we go. It is 12:15. I'm going to go. I'm going to set up the link right now. I'm going to be back in literally 15 minutes. We're going to do the members only, and then we are going to start with the topic that you guys have been waiting for and have been messaging me about all day. But I love you guys. This was a lot of fun. If you just got here, and you should watch the beginning, because this was a good one. If you guys are late, I would definitely want to catch up and see. I got very personal tonight. I shared a lot, and I think we exposed a lot. But I really love you guys. I hope you know it. So, like I always say, be kind, be grateful, do something nice for somebody, and pray. And I will see you guys in 15 minutes.